Hello guys, me Kashi, and I'm gonna do an updated deck on the video. It's like changed a lot since the last one, and it feels kind of weird to still have that one and then just have an updated one here. Sorry for like the lack of video gameplay in the last few weeks. It's been a bit busy and just kind of just helping people out. So, but I'm gonna go over the deck. I'm gonna keep it like kind of simple. I'm just gonna talk about the blues, the reds, the bullets we use, the yellows, and then kind of like what you can cut, what you shouldn't conquer, and what is kind of like I would class as the cores, and what isn't a core card. And yeah, I think we'll continue from there. I guess first of all, I'll just talk about the equipment. Currently, I would personally class Black Tech as a core, Flick Knives, Tunic, both Claves, Deceit, and then I have Starting Point. In the Starting Point, Widow and Crawler are tech cards for me. Some people like running Snapdragons, and some people view Snapdragons as core and Black Tech as the tech. Preference in there, that's just fine. I'll talk about it around the time. Just gonna give a quick rough glance of all the cards in the deck for you, and then we'll talk about it like bit by bit. So just feel free to pause, have a look, whatever. I'll obviously be posting my Wario Free From Its Bonds list in the description. It might be a little bit like sideboard will be a little bit out there because I've been busy, but I might try and update by the time this video comes live. So, but all right, let's go talk about it. We'll start with the reds. So I think these is what I would class is currently the core cards in the red list. Is you have your Dagger Pump, Cut, Saver, Upsticks, then you have like your Dagger Reacts of Scar, Stange, Toxin, To The Point. You've got like 9 pumps, 12 reacts, I guess 15 like pumps, 12 pumps if you count the spare. So it's like a 12-12, which ends up with 24 total cards. That works with your Graphene and your Chelicera. And then like the extra options we have currently are we're running Pain in the Backside as a go again. Like this is sort of like a reaction that has like a non-hit mark effect. This is a weird one where it's kind of like is a silver bullet, but it actually isn't, because the way it's been performing recently and with changes, it's like it's just been like working really well. Same with like Widow. I think Widow just needs to exist in metas where there is a dominant aggro deck. So even though you could like class it as a silver bullet in the current context of how the deck is in the current meta, because a Syndra is a top 3 deck, I would class it as a staple that needs to be in the list. Same with Leave No Witness is just a staple. Really strong card on its own. Really strong card of Codex of Frailty. Hiss of Death is probably the best blue in the entire deck. It uses all of the dagger cards. It uses anything stealth related. It uses anything attack rated, dagger. It's just like the flicks. It's just this into like into like mode 2 when you transform. Just insane. Just insane. So yeah, there's obviously not too much, but like this is like what I would class as like probably the best cards in the Dagger Mario list right now. Alternative stuff would be like you could run Red Incision. Let's just so you could run a Red Incision. So just a +3, but blocks free is like the big sell. So some people sometimes feel like that card feels interesting because of the stabilization. Another card that seems like that could be cool is people keep talking about Extinguish the Flame, because if you're like, oh, if Syndra's in the meta, I guess maybe we should leave that for silver bullets. Then like Mark the Prey is like an interesting card. Same with the Pursuit. Marking them is with like inherent like around 1 value just because of base mode, and then transforming is like to the situation of effects. So these are cards like all these mark effect cards like have like an interesting value to them that might make them come into like the core reds at some point, but I think for now, this is where I would stabilize as the classified red. This is like the reds you probably shouldn't really be ratio interacting with. Pain is like also like just one of those that like you can always just throw out when you need to. It kind of makes your opponent need to interact with you, and if they don't interact with you, it's worth 4 value and a mark, so it's technically worth 5. Like really strong in the deck. But yeah, we've seen these, we know these. I don't think I need to talk about too much more. We'll move on to the yellows. This is the thing that's kind of evolved in like the last like month. Is obviously Codex of Frailty is always like the most like one of the most egregious cards, and it's a free of in the deck. And then we've kind of developed into being this deck that runs Codex of Inertia. So because we have all these ways to extend our turns, and as long as we have a dagger attack available when we Codex, we're able to just get like up to 10 value from this card. And it's like, and then this really like skewers a lot of the value in a lot of the matchups where you were previously like struggling, like a Verdance, for example, and like Earth Heroes. But also, I think there's something about this card that doesn't get talked, like people don't think about sometimes when they're facing about it, is like resolving this card for Ponder and Inertia is already just like a good effect. Like you kind of just break even by denying your opponent a 5-card hand and you turning this card into a different card for next turn. Like this is just like a break even value effect. So then when you start interacting with stuff of like, if you put a bad card in your opponent's arsenal, they have to like, and then they discard a real card, then they win minus there, and then you then put a real card in your arsenal, and then you get to play it for like 3 to 4 value. Then you like this guy's like this is like one of the reasons this deck is like gaining so much power and traction, because previously Verdance was like seen as an unfavored matchup, kind of a bit bad. This is also one of the power cards that just helped flip that into now pushing Verdance into what is seen as like a positive matchup, in my opinion. And the data kind of does show that as well. Also, the same reason Orbeaver Spinneret is now in the list. So this would previously be classed as a tech card, similar for like as I was explaining the Mark of the Black Widow in the Reds. But because Verdance is a top 3 deck that will be staying around, and Gravy is also top 3 deck that'll be staying around, and these are two classes that like have ways to attack us without letting us mask into like a Orbeaver. So like these are just extra options to just make sure that we will always have the Chillisra online. And then these are longer games, so taking like a slower turns in the first few turns to make sure we have the Chillisra means that you'll definitely have a good chance to just then snowball and gain the extra value that you might have lost out on the turn you decide to set up. But also some other extra benefits of some of our blues, which I'll talk about. But pretty much this card is just, we didn't want to have, the deck runs 12 blues now, which you'll see when I talk about it. And then we've turned some of those blues into yellows, and this is so that some of them being codexes. So like our resources are a little bit less still, but and we can't go like Clave Graphene as consistently, but we're not trying to do that anyways. And these are like just really easy and simple cards to play out, but they've also just helped like with the utility side into a lot of matchups. And overall, this has been a great addition to the deck. And an important thing about this deck is when you're going like first, it makes your going first matchups way better, because you're having 9 chances to make your weapon on turn 1 or turn 0, and then you're like smooth sailing from there. So overall, really cool, really good. And then this is where like my deck is a little bit interesting. So for context, the list that I'm showing you is the one I took to the Battlehardened, and I went like undefeated in Swiss, and I had an unfortunate loss to a Florian. But I'm going to just talk about these blues for a bit, why they're here, why they exist, what they're for, and pretty much what's going on. So like, we're currently running 12 blues. I found that this is like the ratio that's worked the best for me, because I kind of see one every hand, and which means that if I see one every hand, I can then kind of pitch it to Clave. And if I don't see one in my hand, it'll be like the turn I'm going to tunic them. Or if I've transformed and I've seen it, I can go tunic, discard the blue, get value, and then like I'm just trying to limit the hands I draw 2 blues. Drawing 1 blue is usually like a good turn, or like you can do a good turn with 1 blue. Drawing like 2 blues is usually a bad turn, forcing you to like have to block or try and get value from it in a different way. And then drawing 0 blue is meaning that you have like your tunic and then or Kiss of Deaths or like other ways to like try and like counteract the fact you didn't draw a resource. But because Chillisra costs 1 anyway, if you did draw like 4 reds and like you have an arsenal red, you could still do like a 20 value turn on that, just because of how the weapon only costs 1 on the token. We'll get into the specifics of the blue. I'm currently against aggressive decks. I bought 10 cards, so the 10 cards I bought are pretty much it's all of them except I won't board exposed because it doesn't block, and I don't board relentless because it's not assassin. And against the aggressive decks, I board the knives, the stains, the utilities, the froze, the prog, and the woolweaver. And you're kind of wondering why have I got a little bit of everything and I'm not just free. And the main reason is 90% of the time when you have these blue cards, you're blocking, pitching, discarding. You're rarely resolving. You're only resolving when you ponder, inertia, and just pure desperate 5-card hands. So if you look at these blues, none of these blues work in a way that's like good to have multiple. Like, I never really want multiple of any of these blues, and the only reason we have 3 orb weavers is just because of the turns you're making your weapon is super crucial. So the idea is we don't really want any of our blues to come in like clumps, so we try and reduce that by making only have 2 of them. And then the ones that we find are like impacting us the best, we've got 2 of. So like Prognosis is the 2 of because Syndra exists. This is like a positive card that you can resolve against Syndra, and it will go like even in some way. And then Throw is just a way to cycle. Like if we do have to play a blue, I'd rather play a blue that then lets me draw into another card. And then because as I said earlier, we're on like 9 orb weavers now, we could just do it on the Chalicera or even the Clave if like they're not marked and we were gonna like want to flick them anyway. It is also a way to kind of like dodge prevention as well. So if we had this whole turn set up where we want to throw a Clave, and then it's a deck that has like prevention effects, we could just do the flick first as a test, and then see how our opponent responds. And if they don't respond, then we could be able to throw them. And then the under the trapdoor is like an opposite version of the trades we'll be making. So all of these cards are designed to be able to be pondered, codexed, and like not interactive or flow, not make our turn feel worse. While under the trapdoor isn't one of them, but it has higher block equity. So if we ever draw it and when we're in the situation where we need to block, or we pitch this card like first cycle, come back around the second cycle, we've probably been through the traps in our deck. Our opponent hits us, we'll have like more blue density because we've been pitching blues throughout the game. So when we draw this blue under trapdoor the second time, we'll probably be accompanied with another blue. So that means this will be the blue that we want to block with, which means we can just turn this into a higher value block card at no cost to like anything else. We could turn this into like a inertia trap, a mark trap, whatever trap we've decided at the time, etc., etc. So it's just one of those really like interesting like tech choices that we're just making, and then just you'll play like 100 games, let's say, and then like 90 of them or like 95 of them, like nothing will really happen with the card, and you're like, you do much, but then you'll play that one game and you're like, oh my god, this now turned into an inertia, and I got to inertia trap him again, and then I got a really big tempo lead, and next turn I got to go X, like I got to just gain a. And that's all we kind of want these blues to do, right? We just need them to be what they are, or like what they are meant to do: block free, blue, discard. But then sometimes we just want them to have that extra oomph and high roll spike value. And these can like always consistently change based on what I think the top decks are, what I think I need more for the. So like Stains is really good late game in the longer games because you get to go graphy, because you probably like thrown away your flick or like some kind of how the games progress, and you want to go like graphene, Stains, graphene. That's all under like all under free resources, and they don't even have to be marked for that because this will just give a go again. And then same with like these Knives Out. I think Knives Out's probably one of the weakest, but it's like the easiest to use, but probably the weakest to like play with, like on the high roll. I guess like you can get free value from this by going like graphene, clave, kiss, or like a graphene clave, graphene turn, and for like a tunic, and then so, like, it's not like useless, but like it's still got its own like situations where it can have that high impact value, so that's why it's in there. And then the reason we aren't exposed in Pursuit is these cards are like efficient ways to mark our opponent without them being able to really interact. But they only come into the longer games. So like against Earth, I'll have Exposed and I'll have Pursuit. Because in aggro we go down to 10, right? These are on the side. So the guy had a game against the Verdants in my Battlehardened specifically, where turn 0 I go Clave, they go block, I go flick, they go discard, and then I just go relentless pursuit. You're still marked Arsenal pass. So if I didn't have like these type of cards, I could have got potentially juiced. So some people were saying they'd rather run Reaper Skull over the pursuit, which is completely a reasonable statement. You just understand that you're then just trading you're trading Ponder inertia equity in the matchups you're going to be running all three of them consistently, or the ability to like maybe see it naturally, or like on a turns your hand, or like a surprise factor in like maybe the late game. As long as you're conscious of that decision, that's fine. Because you could also run like little stealth attacks as well if you really wanted to like think about it. Like you could run like blue infect, sedate. You could run like more 2-ofs. You could run free prognosis if you want. You could run free throw dagger. Like in reality, the blues don't like they matter, but they don't really matter because you're like resolving them so little in your games on average that like you can kind of just put what you want in there. Just try not to have it stunt you in a way, ideally. So like avoid the ones that have like big costs to them. Partially why surgical is no longer in the list. Alright. Moving on to silver bullets. So what are the silver bullets I would class in this deck? So the silver bullets in this deck are starting point is a gravy card. It could just become Snapdragon, and you could kind of just like vibes it into other matchups as well if you don't feel like you need the one block. There is a chance I might try that myself because the way Gravy's been playing recently, I've been like very different how I approach it. I'll probably go over like how I've been like siding some of the stuff after this as well on a different list. This could be Snap if you want to try and find the different swaps. I'm currently running AB2. So AB1 is for Verdance going first. And then Widow is for Verdance going second. Like the helmet, sorry. AB2 is for helmet going second. Because the way Verdance works is kind of like wants to chip you down for Arcane on her first turn, get you low enough to then get the scam victory in by making you stop playing inefficient because Storm Shredders exists. AB2 lets you like avoid a bunch of the scam at the end game and a lot of the chip in the early mid game. So it actually like just gives you enough time to start like outvaluing it with your really strong cards. So that's why I would class this like these are like tech cards because obviously they're there for that matchup alone, and it kind of overlaps with Kano, and you can kind of still beat Kano with AB2, so it kind of worked out quite nicely. But Kano might be LLing. I thought to press hand together. And then Odd's Eye Body is currently a Sindra tech. The ratio of this to being 1 to 3 is just based on like what you think your Syndra matchup, like how many you're gonna play. If you think you're gonna play more Syndra, really strong argument to make this a 3-of. Because it's just a really powerful card, right? It's like a must block. Otherwise, it's coming in for like around 7 value minimum, right? Just crazy card. Battlefront is a Prism card. Prism is like on an uptick in popularity. Everyone's Prism. But usually when that happens, it means probably don't need your poppers because if everyone knows Prism's going to be playing, Prisms don't want to be playing because they're going to run into everyone in poppers, and it's just like one of those weird cycle moments of like when Kano is disrespected, he'll do well. When Kano's respected, he'll do bad. Prism's kind of similar to one of those decks. Also, if Kano LLs, Prism gets even worse because all the Kano tech becomes Prism tech, and Prism loses one of the best matchups she had in the matchup. The meta. So keep an eye out for that when you're looking at these. There's a chance as long that this is just meant to be like another Art Desire body. So that's kind of like why I wanted to talk about the silver bullets in deck building, so you can make these decisions yourself rather than just follow this like no thoughts. So previously CNC was seen as like one of the most crucial cards in like an assassin deck because Codex of Frailty is such a everyone loved going card attack, pitch to a dagger or something, and you go Tunic, CNC, and you're like bang, I've got this massive lead now. But in reality, this card is kind of just very iffy now. We've reduced our blues. We use our Tunic mainly for our 1-card Graphene. For our pitchless turns on Graphene. This card is kind of just like really fallen in its value and its power. Even against decks that are all DVX, I still just don't really want to run it because it's just very, very clunky. And like, you need like a few things to line for it to feel good. And it's just like, it just feels like when you play, you're just buying time, but it doesn't really do anything for you to push the lead. So it is just a bit of a But I think because of the fact that we have frailty and it's a popper for Prism, there's enough copium for me to keep it, which is similar to the reasoning of Death Touch still being in the list as well. I think if Prism wasn't seen as a pick at all, I think both of these cards could be replaced, because this is probably getting replaced if I'm being realistic. I think both of these would also be replaced into more tempo-based cards for the matchups. But because these are both like playable still in multiple matchups because of the fact of frailty, but they also have the power of 6 on them, there's enough copium to be like, I have 3 poppers, one of them is 7, 2 of them are utility that I will use sometimes, and that's fine. And then regarding traps, you will always need at least one trap in your deck, otherwise you're just wasting value. Like rolling a 6 like on turn 0, and then you're gonna mask into something you wanted to mask in anyways, but you've now just healed 3 life. Extremely powerful swing. Extremely powerful swing. It's just so good. And then like just the idea that you can mask into stuff whenever as well. So like against Verdants, there's moments where they attack me for felling, they have an arsenal. I will block with mask, search inertia trap, inertia them, they'll lose the card in arsenal, and then next turn if I draw like a codex of inertia or frailty, they don't have an arsenal and I get to get max value from my codexes. And like these are just like the type of play patterns that are just like really backbreaking, and why in my mind the Verdance matchup has flipped. And then that's why inertia trap's really good right now, and that's why it's one of my choices. Den is also like similar-ish, where it's like a better natural draw. Not as much as a mask one, because they're already probably marked if you're gonna roll into Trapdoor. There are moments you do like a raw helmet and roll the dice, and then you hit 6 and you're like, oh hell yeah, I gotta mark them. I think this card could potentially be changed for like different utility traps if needs be. It could be a second inertia, could maybe be a lair, because if you're worried about Syndra, and if you're like really struggling with warriors and stuff, it could be a frailty. So I think inertia is meant to stay, and it could be a 2x, but currently the 1-1 split has treated me well, so I've kept it as it is. And then, as you saw in our red list, one pickup was in the list, and I guess I didn't talk about it too much. Was one pickup is always good to have in your deck, because the 4 retrieve number feels nice. Just that alone is also good, but also in like the really long games, when you've not seen a retrieve, or like you might not have any left in your deck, having one of these in your graveyard allows you to codex it and get a clave if you're like all you need is consistency on the turn, and you don't care about the extra damage you might have lost by going for this, because over the next 4 turns they'll do you worth more. So I always like having one pickup in the 80 because of that reason alone. That's why I class one of them as like a mandatory crucial one. And then these 2 are tech cards because of Gravy. Gravy is probably the worst matchup we have from the big 3. I would say we have a positive Verdance and like a 50-50 into Syndra if the Syndra player is like top 5 best player in the world. I think otherwise you're pretty solid into Syndra. And if you go second, you're like really. It's like kind of like whoever goes second in the matchup wins. Then whoever goes first has to kind of get like extra advantages. Thankfully for us, going first, we have a lot more ways to like spike them, like the leaves, the black widows, like the savers. Like we have way bigger spikes than Syndra has to us. But yeah, these are what I would class Syndra tech. Gravy tech, because it's extra head jabs to kill soul bones. This might be a bit too much, because the matchup's kind of like whoever goes first is probably a good chance to win, and whoever goes second is like just automatically behind. But like if we go second specifically into Gravy, we're like really behind. So it might just be like we should just accept that matchup's kind of like a really close one, and then we can win it, but I don't think the extra head jobs is what's the difference between winning or losing. I think you need to have some in your list just so you have them. I don't know if having 6 is like game breaking enough to take up the slot, because the deck is extremely tight right now. And then Sigil Solace is our anti-arcane tech. This is mainly for like Verdant, Kano, Asilios. But I feel like all 3 of those matchups are like at a state where I'm quite consistently happy with them, that I could potentially look into like ratio this solace down to 1 or 0, because they were better to like just not let you get scammed, because the deck had more like consistency issues. But now that the deck is getting more and more consistent, and like the more you play with it, the more feel like it's really hard for you to like skip turns on this deck if that's not what you, if you don't want to do. Like, you can present like a lot of a big number every turn, you as long as you're like playing to like allow yourself like for your arsenals and stuff, which I'll talk about. So I think this could be cut. I think these could be cut. So as you see, like these are the silver bullets I have in the 80, but these are like options that you can change. So like you could remove a bastion if you don't think you need it. You could remove this if you feel really comfortable with Syndra. You can remove these if you feel really comfortable with Verdant. You can remove these if you feel comfortable in the gravy, or you just want to sack it off. Same with this. Like these are just like, I just want to give you the ideas of like how the deck building process is, how the choices are made. So when it comes for you to playing it, you can then invent and like come up with some cool ideas for yourself. And then if you ever want to change these cards, you need to understand what their role was in the 80. And is when you're changing it, are you going to change it to something that's going to fill the gap that you've left, or you understand there's a hole left there and you're going to just build the foundation of another side of like of a matchup. And then Sink Below is like also just an anti-aggro D-React. This could be Shelters. This could be Fate for Scenes if you're like, because we do have ways to ponder and stuff now of like inertias, and so this could be like a Fate for Scene if you want to like a more weirdly aggressive like D-React. Because all the hands kind of look good now, so like the sinking effect isn't as premium as it used to be. Because now they're all the rate, because it was really good at like sinking like extra blues, or maybe we had a card that we couldn't afford in our hand because we used to run free CNCs, we used to run surgicals, or like we had like an arsenal that was a bit bricky, so we couldn't like play the codex. Like, but we've like fixed a lot of these issues, right? So the sink effect has actually lost value. So it might be worth looking into upgrading this into either a shelter to deny prevention, to have a prevention effects in our 80, or into fate to have opting effects to like turn our like when we're doing our like racy vibes into like more proactive sense. So like if I knew exactly what my inertia is, I could play my turn perfectly. Or if I knew where I'm going to ponder, I can then understand how I want to play and set that up so the ponder is good for me. Or if I have silver, I understand it. I will know if I want to trade the silver into drawing into the next card. Just little things where like I think Fate doesn't get used as much anymore. And it's like the 8th D-React, I mean, because people put free sinks, free shelters. But there is uses to it, and it's definitely worth contemplating. It's also cheaper than it's Fate for Scenes. I mean, it's also cheaper than shelters, so if you don't have shelters and you're not enjoying the sinks, maybe more fun for you. I think that's like a good spot regarding just like how the deck is, how it's manufactured, every card's role and stuff. I'll talk about the sideboarding regarding the big three. I'm just gonna pause this real quick and then we'll just do a little jump cook. But we're back. So regarding Syndra. I have a first and second sideboard. And we'll talk about why this has happened, why this is this, even if I think it's even still correct. Because a lot of time I do the sideboards differently in real life. And I kind of just vibes it, but then I leave these guides for you guys to just so you have like someone to start with. And then if you don't like my sideboarding, leave a comment, change it, and just I'm happy to discuss. Love discussions. So I currently going first. I'm on 10 blues. So as we were talking about, side out these two. Keep the ones in. I'm on Rainbow Orb-Weaver because for the turn 0 start. I have one trap for mode 6. I have my Syndra Tech card in. I have my Syndra Tech cards in. I have Black Tech because it's a go again boots, but it also blocks one for like breakpoints and helping me deny mask if I need to. And like we kind of talked about, so you can understand like, so these are the prism cards, so they're not going to be in. This is like an earth card, so that's not going to be in. This is gravy cards and long game cards, so that's not going to be in. Arcane card, so it's not in. And longer game blues, so they're not in. I did used to run this sometimes, so when you had them really close games, the extra free life was quite useful. I always come and go with this card, but it does kind of do nothing proactively, and it's just there to like maybe cheese in like very specific situations. So maybe there's a world that comes back in. But if I ever found space for cards, I would just be looking at it for more. So like if I had a second Art Desire body here, I would look into cutting. If you're really feeling it, you could cut a blue, you could cut a yellow Orb Weaver or a blue Orb Weaver, you could cut a Codex, and you could just put in the extra tech. If you block the Codex of Inertia works nicely with these attacks because the extra attacks means if you flip one randomly off the top, you can get some decent value from that as well. So pros and cons, pros and cons. That's Syndra. The second one is just I've decided to cut some extra blues, and I just kind of want to go like punch straight away. I've still kept the Sink Belows, which could be shelters as well, and because some Syndras are running Warmongers, so I kind of wanted to like think about if I want to drop some of them. So I could be looking to drop in some of these, just to allow myself get blown out by that. And then Sigil could be interesting going second. If they have like a bad start, you could like maybe heal, but it's also very dangerous because if you Sigil, they could easily just try and trigger a mask on you, then get like a big value off you. This is more just like I kind of want to just punch face. I'm probably gonna like clave maybe once, just so I can like potentially flick. But if I attack one of these, I could flick, and then I could maybe set up a Graphene or an Orb, and then I hit them with like stealth attack. Like once again, like reducing one of these cards for like a second auto body if it was in the list, or even a third. Maybe change. I'd probably change these into like the second or third of this in this situation. That's just like that's just how this sideboard looks like. This list is the one I'll post into the description. Gravy Bones. So something I've been thinking and working on when I'm playing this list is I think as long as you need to be the guy in control of the tempo, and you need to make sure that your deck isn't failing you. Because there are moments where I used to have like, you could also just I could be wrong around this, but I used to have Black Widows and stuff in my list, and like this in the Death Touch and the CNCs. I was like, oh well, I want these to kill Charm. I want this to disrupt my opponent a little bit. But I've realized that one of the lose conditions is when the boat gets you, and the easiest way for the boat to get you is you like flooded on attacks, and then because you're flooding on these attacks that you want to keep, you're like really incentivized to block them, and then you're kind of just slowing down the game in a way that helps your opponent. I'd rather like avoid arsing if possible. I do understand I'm running these extra books that then will create ponders, which then make me Arsenal. It's a bit counterintuitive, so there is like arguments where like maybe some of this should be less. I think the Den should be in the deck. I think I should probably do this, but just the reasons of like having cards in our arsenal just so we don't get hit by the ship, and just making sure we're fluid. Because if we like brick on some of these, it's like not that bad, right? Because we just put one in our arsenal, and then the whole reason we didn't want to brick or like get stunted, so we don't arsenal a card that has ship gives the Conqueror of the Seas high value. But these will deny it, and then these will all be good to do. It also just helps buff this a little bit slightly. And then we're on 11 blues. The reason we're on less pro daggers because this is one of those defending hero cards. So if I like attack an ally and then use this card, it'll have like it'll flick but won't draw because it won't be because it hasn't dealt damage to the defending hero. I'm on the active chain link because the active chain link is me hitting like the ally. It's just one of those really annoying interactions. So like whoopsie, this could just be like cut and then you put in like one of these and then just accept that it's going to be like maybe bad, but we'll see. And then I think the second one is just the game's going to be slower, so I'm probably going to be stuck with some bad cards. So I just put in some extra. I put in the sigils to help dodge, and then I have a CNC in just to like interact. I don't think this second one is that. I don't think this is that good. This is just kind of all fury because like when you go second, you're kind of behind, and you're just going to try and claw ways to get back in the game. The mindset is maybe like a CNC or like a mark and all these little things, or like a well-timed sigil might be like just ways for you to claw back in from behind, because going second is like, it feels the worst in this matchup. And the final one, Verdance. I haven't made a second one. I've typed it here. This is back when this is like when it was all Fury, and like I've been practicing it more recently. But I could easily just copy this one and then just make another one where you want to like just have the helmet change. But if you've watched this video, I'm assuming you'll understand how to do that anyway. But for this one, we run good codex cards that go long. We run the traps that interact with our opponent. We have one pickup for the similar reasons of codex targets. We run all these good value cards. This is really good. We run the sigils because it's an arcane deck. We run all the blues because we're kind of looking to pitch one per turn. And the cards we're not running are this is Prism Tech, Prism Tech, Aggro Tech, Gravy Tech, Aggro Tech. Do you see like how like the earlier conversations regarding the identities of cards makes like then coming to sideboard a lot like simpler processes? Like, oh, this is my aggro card, this is my prism card, this is my prism card, this is my aggro card, this is my gravy card, this is my aggro card. Am I playing any of those decks? No. Put everything else in. And that's just kind of like how your brain like needs to think when you're like making the side decks. Like, what is this card's identity? What is this card's job? Does any of those fit the matchup I'm about to play? No, then I don't want it in my list. And this will like just help you like build your own lists, build your own sideboards, and just that you do it off the dome in real life as well, way quicker and way better. And then it also means that if you don't like a card, so you're like, ah, I'd be playing with this card. This card doesn't feel good. What does this card do again? This card's job is to be like an efficient numbers card. Like to the point is an efficient numbers card. And if this hasn't been performing to me, what could I change this to? Then you would look at the list and be like, right, what other efficient numbers cards are there for me? Potentially a reaction, if possible. Are there any reactions? Is there any attacks? Oh, this on-hit mark is technically worth 5 value and blocks free. Did I think about running this over to the point? And this is like the type of thought processes you want to be going in when you're building decks. I don't think it's worth showing any gameplay. I'm going to do like 1 or 2 test hands like I did on the last one, because I think that was just like nice to see what they look like. Let's just do Syndra, because Syndra's like a classic one. Actually, we'll do like a fluid one. So actually, we'll do Verdance because Verdance is all about fluid. And Gravy, yeah, no, okay. I'm being indecisive. Right, so bring all our cards in. Everything's all good. So I'm against Verdance. I've went first. What am I doing? Well, I want to make sure my next turn is as smooth as possible. So what is not smooth in this hand right now? Is it my non-attacks? Or is it my reactions? These reactions, while they are good, I don't really want to be playing them on a clave. Especially this is unplayable on a clave. So instantly, what do? This card's unplayable on clave. That wants to get pitched. Next, what's unplayable? These are all playable. So if I'm against Verdance, what is my mindset? My mindset is my opponent might have shelters and my mind block. So I need to play around the fact they could have prevention. So I'm actually gonna pitch the upsticks to keep the scar tissue, because let's say they block free. Or if they like block 3 or block 2, or like if I attack and they go like on attack declaration shelter, I have a way to get out of it. But also if they do still somehow prevent, oh, what the hell's happened to Talshaw? Oh, that's weird. 1 sec, I'm gonna pause. That was really weird. That just broke, so I just made another one. To be fair, this is like how hands way. So this one's hands way, like very simple, right? I want to set up a good card for my next turn. And I want to use all the cards I can. So right now it's like bang, I'll use it to the point. Because I want my opponent to be marked, so I don't actually want to attack with the Orb Weaver. And because I'm going first, it'll actually also let them deny the mulligan. So if my opponent only blocked 1 with Verdance there, they would have got slightly juiced by the point. And then even if they had like a flick option, I had a potential to give them a reaction to get over it. And then what I would do then is to not let them use any more cards is I would develop the Orb Weaver past turn. And then this is like me set up into the next turn. And I've arsenaled the reaction, which will be easy to get out, because look, now my hand is going to just function on the ability to go pitch, attack, discard something if I like, or even use this at the end to discard for this. Get some value from there. Attacking with this early game can be a little dangerous because you don't want to give them the first earth. So I actually would recommend, like, if my opponent was attacking me here, I think I would be like looking into just blocking. Okay, this game, like, Talshaw keeps bugging, so I don't think I can do too many examples, but might just call it there then. Sorry about that. But yeah, it just keeps doing it. But that was two little quick demonstrations of a hand. I would like to have done more, but it's just not the time. So yeah, I'm gonna leave the description for this deck in the thing. I can also leave the description for the other one if you just want to have a look at it, and or just have a fresh list without any matchups really on it. But if you want that one, just drop a message and I'll just reply to you. And this one I'll try and update if with any of the potential tech I'm testing, because I've got a bunch of ideas, but I don't want to put them into this list until it's like I've really confirmed them. But yeah, thanks for watching. If you got to here, leave a comment of your favorite mode of Arakni, just so I know you've watched the full thing. And yeah, leave a like, subscribe, etc. if you enjoyed it, and have a lovely day. Bye.